Hi, boys and girls. So today is Thursday, May 7, and we are doing timelines for our work today. So, boys and girls, I want you to look that the one good example that we've had of a timeline in your text, this right here. There's dates, there's pictures, there's events, there's information about the timelines. And I want to show you a quick video on timelines so that you can get an understanding of how they work before we go to the lesson. Come on.
A timeline is a great way to illustrate a set of historical events. The events on a timeline usually follow a theme or take place within a specific period of time. To make a timeline, first create a list of events you want to include and order them chronologically. That's a fancy way of saying earliest to latest. Then, look at your earliest and latest event dates to determine the period your timeline will cover. The earliest date goes at the left end of the timeline, while the latest date goes on the right. Now split the timeline into segments by drawing smaller, intersecting lines at equal lengths apart. Each line represents a unit of time. A unit can be a day, a month, a year, or even 100 years. Label every few units with the year it represents on the timeline. Now, add your list of events to the timeline, marking them at the corresponding year. You can make a timeline about anything: the events of your favorite TV show, the founding of the United States, even the history of baseball.
All right. Good video on timelines, and now let's go back to our text. And here we have your text that you'll be able to create. The objective, I will be able to create a timeline based on the events of a listed text. So you're going to read and underline the important events to create a timeline. I have highlighted them for you, boys and girls. I'm going to read. I might not have enough time to finish reading, but I want you to see that I have helped you by highlighting the time and the important information that should go next to it on some of them, okay? Now, on the green ones, I left them so that you can do it on your own. So this paragraph, find the important information that goes with that date. For this one, here's some important information. I did that one for you. For these two dates, find it on your own. And for this one, find the important information. Then go to the bottom. Here's an example one. And now you do it here, okay? And I want to read the text for you. And it might not have enough time on this video, and I'm not going to do a second video, so you'll finish reading on your own. Born in 1971, Samuel Morse was an American painter who had an interest in inventions. While he was working to make a career for himself as an artist, a personal tragedy changed his life and career path. He became one of the most important inventors in modern history. In 1832, Samuel Morse was in the middle of painting a new masterpiece when he got a letter saying his wife was ill. He left immediately, but by then, that time he arrived, his wife had already passed away. This tragedy led him to think about ways for people to communicate quickly over long distances. In 1832, while sailing back to the United States from Europe, Morse learned about the newly discovered electromagnet and thought of an idea for an electric telegraph machine. In 1837, he met a scientist who worked on electromagnetism. Together, they came up with a way for people to communicate through electrified wire strung over long distances. Morse worked with others to develop a system of communication through these wires using dots and dashes and spaces to represent different letters and numbers. We now call this Morse code. In 1838, Morse petitioned Congress to fund his research. He was originally unsuccessful and did not receive funding from Congress until 1843. When he gave a demonstration of how the machine worked, the federal government began funding the wiring of important government buildings and major cities. On May 24, 1844, Morse sent the first message between Baltimore and Maryland and Washington, D.C. His invention was groundbreaking. People were now able